And you got all of these tanks and all of their military might coming against Israel. It looks like it's a done deal. There's no way they can win. But what does God say he's going to do?
Well, God destroys the invaders. That's the short story. But the big story is really exciting. I say that because when this invasion takes place, Israel is so outnumbered that there's no way that Israel could survive on its own. But God decides to act. And when God acts, he sends a powerful earthquake that kills many of them. He causes friendly fire between the armies, I suspect between the Russians and the Muslims.
This is what the text says.
That's right. And then disease will break out.
Plagues.
God is in sovereign control over all human life. And he brings about the destruction of all of these forces. And here's what's exciting to me. God says that you may know that I am Yahweh. You see, when these forces are moving against Israel, they're likely shouting Allahu Akbar over and over and over again because they're Muslims. But then God says that you may know that I am Yahweh and there is none like me in all the earth. And so they're no match for the true God. And you have to keep in mind also, if I might, God himself promised, no weapon against you shall prosper.
Right.
The scripture also promises that he who watches Israel will never slumber or sleep.
That's right.
And so God is always there.
Mark, was that why your arms were tingling when you realized all this?
Well, yeah, you see all this coming together. The stage is being set.
Now.
The pieces of the puzzle are falling into place right now. It's all there. You know, what's interesting to me, though, too, that's beautiful about this whole passage, we can know for sure this is going to happen in the future because we're talking about Ezekiel 38 and 39, but in Ezekiel 36 and 37, the two chapters before that, talks about a gathering of Israel from all the nations of the earth being brought back to their homeland. Well, that started in 1948. We're seeing the fulfillment of that right now before our eyes. So if that prophecy has been literally fulfilled and we see it being literally fulfilled, we know that the Ezekiel 38, 39 prophecy will be fulfilled. We don't have to just take this by faith. There's a track record that God has of fulfilling these prophecies. And so when we see these things happening before us, Israel back in the land, Israel living in peace and securely, or at least maybe in the future sometime through this treaty with the Antichrist, they'll be living securely. All these nations are in place, and Iran's trying to cross the nuclear threshold, and both the United States and Israel have said we're not going to let them have nuclear weapons. So there's a showdown that's coming. And whenever that showdown finally is unleashed, all these things are going to be set into motion, and this prophecy will be fulfilled.
The prophecy also says that God's not going to just destroy the armies that come from these nations in Israel, but he's going back to their nations, and he's going to take out certain pieces of those nations as well. Talk to that.
Well, I think that what's going on there is that God's going to make sure that this can never happen again. He's taken out the madrasas and the schools that teach radical Islam, and the schools and the mosques and the different headquarters of leaders who make these decisions to attack Israel. So I believe that God's judgment is complete. That's one of the things we're going to see in the book of Revelation in one of our future shows. God's judgment is complete.